I'm probably the perfect example of the liberal, bleeding heart, do-gooder professor. The leaders of gun organizations love to hate. Now, I thought that Mr. Paradis, some of Mr. Paradis's friends might bring weapons with them tonight. So I thought I better. I better bring my Civil War musket. I worked on a farm after I got the summer I graduated from high school, and the farmer gave me this. It was made in 1829 by a Connecticut gunsmith named A. Waters. It was originally a flintlock, and I think it was then altered to be a cap gun.
You got this free?
He gave it to me.
I'll give you $50 and an instant profit.
Will you peel his cold fingers?
It was a civil, then used in the Civil War. And I must say, they must have been strong men then, because it's pretty heavy.
But a lot of fun to shoot.
Now, I didn't always have the views that I've had, but let me tell you how I came to hold the views. I happen to be a veteran of the Second World War, which I survived by luck. And when I came home, I was for life, not death. I was drawn to the credo of the famous medical missionary Albert Schweitzer: reverence for life, reverence for precious life. And I was appalled by the number of shooting deaths in our country, and saddened by the prevalence of gun ownership. Now, although peace is my passion, as you can see from my homemade peace pin, I'm not a pacifist. Sometimes evil has to be confronted by force as a last resort. But to see everyday killing with guns in your own country in peacetime is a tragic spectacle indeed. Now, I'm going to not quite talk about what Paul Paradis talked about so well. I'm going to talk about social policy on guns. Our country is awash in guns, alone among the countries of the Western world. A friend of mine who is a leading British military historian once said to me that one of the great advances of Western civilization, of which we are a part, was the disarming of the population, leaving weapons in the hands of the military and the police. People no longer had to go around wearing swords or daggers or rapiers. They depended on the police to keep them safe. Now, my wife and I often spend time in London. Once our flat was broken into, and my Nikon camera and lenses were stolen. And a charming detective sergeant right out of Masterpiece Theater came to investigate. And I said to him, "It's lucky we didn't come home when the burglar was here. He might have had a gun." And the sergeant looked at me with amazement. "Never in 1,000 years," he said. Now, if you came home when a burglar was in your house in this country, I think you'd want to get out fast, because it might be a kid with a cheap handgun. Now, there are many studies and statistics about the deadly cost of guns in America. And I'm going to tell you about some of them, because this is what concerns me so much. The United States is estimated to have close to 300 million or more guns in private hands. Each year, about 4.5 million new guns including approximately 2 million handguns, are sold in the United States, and an estimated 2 million guns are used guns are sold each year. In 2007, the executive director of the Police Executive Research Forum stated that the number of assaults with firearms, based on a study, was about 100,000 a year. And each year, about 60,000 people were actually shot. Not all of them died. Now, here are some figures which are striking, and these are murders, not excluding suicides and accidents. In 1 year, 2006, 18 in Austria, 27 in Australia, 59 in England and Wales, 60 in Spain, 190 in Canada, 194 in Germany, and more than 10,000 in the United States. A study of Seattle and Vancouver, Canada, found similar rates of criminal activity and assault, but the relative risk of death from homicide was 63% higher in Seattle. Canada has stronger gun laws. And the difference was explained by the 5-time higher risk of being murdered with a handgun in Seattle. And there are many estimates about what it costs, this firearms death. In 2008, the cost to federal, state, and local governments is estimated to be $4.7 billion for the year, including costs for medical care, transportation, police, criminal justice, and lost taxes. In 2006, almost 17,000 U.S. residents killed themselves with a handgun, including over 2,000 young people ages 10 to 24. States with high household gun ownership have more suicides than states with low ownership. 85% of youths under 18 who committed suicide with a gun used a family member's gun, usually belonging to a parent. As many Americans die from guns every 6 weeks as died in 9/11.